Adam.
Okay, hello. So we're looking at types of work contracts. So you can see which ones we're
Yes,
talking about right now. What contracts have you worked
yes.
with, and what did you think was beneficial and disadvantageous of each of them?
Well, first on our list is seasonal work,
Yeah.
and I did some seasonal work at Christmas in the post office, sorting mail by hand into different boxes that each had a country name on. So I was working on the foreign mail section. And I just did that at Christmas, and I also worked in a store called Argos one Christmas, just with getting out the Christmas goods, I suppose you would say. So two lots of seasonal work at a very busy time.
Yeah. Okay.
The next thing, have you any questions for me?
No. No. So yeah. Okay. But why did you choose to do that seasonal work? I mean, you could have had a job all year round. You could have had permanent contracts. Why would you choose the seasonal work in that case?
I think because the children were young then, and it suited me to just have a Christmas job for the extra income, really.
But okay, but during Christmas time,
And
the
that,
children would have been at home more, right? I mean, it would have been the holidays.
well, no, because that's pre-Christmas, isn't it? Sorting the mail was pre-Christmas.
Okay, I don't know what time they
Um,
break up from
in those
school.
in those days, people sent an enormous amount of Christmas cards in the UK, and there was a lot of extra mail. Um, And the Argus job, of course, again was pre-Christmas, with people buying their Christmas gifts.
Sure, yeah. No,
So you had the money for Christmas, basically.
I quite like seasonal
So
work.
it was,
I think temporary contracts, I mean, they're quite good. I mean, if you have a temporary contract, you're not locked in employment for a long period of time. You can have more variation. You can move quite easily, and you don't have all the same obligations as you would as a permanent worker. So I think that can be quite advantageous. And if
oh
you have
yes,
periods of the year where, yeah, go on.
but very hard work at a busy time.
Yeah, well, it's precisely because of that these jobs exist. Yeah. Okay, and what is your opinion on migrant work? I think a lot of people they don't like this in the UK, right? They have a problem with migrants coming over and working.
Well, I think they're a necessity because migrant migrant workers do a lot of jobs that British people don't want to do.
Mm.
They come over and work in the fields, they come over and work as carers, um, and they fill a lot of gaps. And also, I think people get the opportunity to travel and see another country because it's not always people coming into the country. Sometimes people will go to a completely different country to work to gain an experience. And some migrant workers just travel all the time where the work is, which is ideal, really. It fills a lot of gaps.
Yeah, I know that in my job, in my profession as an English language teacher, okay, there's lots of jobs around the world, and oftentimes they only want native speakers, which is quite controversial in itself. But okay, that's yeah, it's quite common in my profession. But okay, but lots of people. I mean, they say there's high unemployment in the UK, not as high as in other countries, but okay, they may have been tweaking the figures. But there's lots of people also desperate for work that really do want to work, and they're not finding these opportunities. Why do you think this is?
I think the problem in the UK, and this is my personal opinion, is with the benefit system. And I think a lot of people get more money on benefits than they do in employment.
Mm.
I think a lot of it is down to employers that prefer to take on part-time employees because it suits them, and then the people are on half benefits and half income. And the problem is then that if the employer needs them to do longer hours, they can't do that because it affects their benefits and their pay. So they're then restricted to working X amount of hours a week and can't help out when necessary. I mean, when I went to work, if my hours were 9 to 5
Mm.
and my company was busy, I just worked till 6 or 7 o'clock. I didn't necessarily get paid for it, but that was how it used to be. If you were, you were expected to stay on. But now everything is worked around the benefit system, and I think it's a real mess. And I
Uh,
think there are jobs out there, but a lot of people don't want to do the difficult work.
sure. Okay, but you.
There's vacancies for carers, there's vacancies for picking vegetables, and this is the work that the migrant workers don't seem to have an issue with.
Okay, and these are jobs which, as well, you do need. I mean, if you're a carer, you do need skills in these areas as well. It's not something that anyone can do just like that. You need to be trained as well, don't you?
Yes, but a lot of people just don't want to do it, even if you can be trained.
Sure. Okay.
And picking fruit and vegetables is backbreaking work, isn't it? That some people just don't like hard work. And if
Uh,
the benefit system's there, why should they?
yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. I don't know. I mean, you told me just now that you worked full time, and that oftentimes you'd have to work later, and that you were not paid for this. So were you paid for your work hourly or for the jobs that you did? I mean, if you did your work fast, were you able to go home early?
No, certainly not.
No, but you were expected
No.
to do more work. I mean, was that legal? Were
No,
there
and
no protections?
yeah, and I also worked for a woman that would take a day off if she was having a carpet laid or something. She would say, "Oh, I'm going to work from home today."
Okay.
Or sometimes we would work till late the previous evening, and she would come in late the next day. But she would phone up at 9 o'clock in the morning to check that I was in work.
Ah, okay. So she did. I guess you left that job quite quickly.
No, actually, I stayed there 10 years
Why? It seems very abusive.
because I enjoyed the work and I enjoyed the people that I worked with.
And you even like? Did you like your boss or not?
Yeah, she was all right, but I used to get a bit annoyed with her when she would do her, "Oh, I'm working from home today," and I would say, "Oh, my grandchild is in hospital. I need to take the afternoon off,"
Mm.
and she would be, well, I suppose so.
Okay, yeah. It seems like she's expecting a lot from you, and she's not being flexible herself to
Not
accommodate your
giving.
personal life. Yeah. Okay. You said that she was able to work from home. I mean, were you able to ever work from home?
No,
So you
no,
never did teleworking. Okay. And I mean, what do you think about teleworking? Do you think
no.
it's the future, or what do you think?
Um, well, I always thought telework was sitting in an office doing work on the telephone. But
Yeah.
obviously, things changed, and telework actually means working from home, which I didn't realise.
Yeah, I think it
I
never meant
think
what you
now
thought.
we've had, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think now we've had this lock-in that more people will now be working from home, and I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't continue.
If it doesn't
I
continue.
think yeah, I think that will
Oh, you think
continue.
it will continue? Okay.
And I think, yes, and a lot more people will continue to work from home once it's over.
I don't know. For me, so
I
I'm.
think they'll probably use it as a base, because why I say that was when I was in work, because of course I'm retired now.
Mm,
We had our own desk, our own computer, and we sat in the same place every day. Well, as I got more and more towards retirement, people were doing what's called hot desking.
yeah.
Whereas if a desk was empty, they would sit there. Whereas we never did that. So obviously things evolve, don't they?
Yeah.
So I think now more people are working from home. Probably that will evolve, and people will continue to do that.
I mean, certainly
And
the.
just the offices will get smaller and just be used as a base
Right.
where they visit
And they would cut costs
regularly.
that way. Yeah. I don't know. I think from I mean, obviously, I'm working from home now, and it has its benefits. I don't have to travel to work. I don't have to wait for the bus and look at the bus timetables. I can put my classes right next to each other online. I don't have to have space between them to travel, and I can even, I can get up a lot later than I usually would, because I wouldn't have, all the extra things that you have to do when you're going to work. But I would say, speaking with clients that are also working from home, they are getting a bit fed up with it. They like this at home because it's more relaxed, but they're not able to separate their work life and their private life. Oftentimes they have children coming in and asking them questions or something like this. And not only that, but when you're in the office, you can ask a colleague a question just like that, just, oh, what would you do about this, or something like this, just in passing comments. But now my clients are finding that they're having lots more video conference calls, more meetings, they're less productive, not only because of their motivation, but because there's extra meetings and extra administration that they need to complete.
Yeah. There is definitely a downside to working at home, and one of them is the friendship that you build up and trust you build up with your colleagues.
Mm.
Um, the face-to-face communication, which is a lot more personal than being on video, and also we covered this before, and we had a conversation about emails coming in.
Mm.
Um, People don't talk to each other enough, and that's a real problem. And it will eventually become a social problem because less people are meeting together.
I don't know
So I
if
think
you told me
there
um,
are pluses.
you told me that in the past lots more people were doing casual labor, that they would queue to wait to get work in the morning. They possibly get work they possibly wouldn't. From what I understand, this means that the workforce is changing on a daily basis. I mean, that's not so stable. That's not really building trust with your colleagues either, is it? I mean, in a sense, you're competing with each other every day.
But that will still go on, because what you have to realise is a lot of people cannot work from home. A truck driver can't work from home. A factory worker can't work from home.
Sure.
A dock worker can't work from home. So you're going to get this big divide where people in manual labour are still going to be using the old system of human contact, and bosses, because this is what it will amount to, will be spending their day working at home or working in the office, and the two will not be communicating, and that might cause issues. And I'll give you an example. When I worked for Ford Motor Company, I worked for the plant manager, and every lunchtime he walked the whole of the factory and spoke to the employees, just friendly. How are you? Oh, what issue have you got with fitting this? Or what issue have you got with fitting that?
Are you sure he wasn't trying to micromanage
And all
you?
that helped. No, all that helped with his communication with his employees and the problems that they were experiencing in their work. And then when he came back and had his morning meeting with the managers and he discussed some of the problems, they could do problem solving because of the knowledge he'd gained just walking through every day and people feeling they could approach him. And that's what you'll lose out on if you get too much working from home and the manual labourers working separately. That's what I think.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I've worked in companies where the boss is never there and he doesn't know what the problems are on the ground, and he's implementing changes, not realizing that these changes are not beneficial for the end product that we're giving, or
That's right. You need to be in communication with those people that are actually doing the work, as well as being a boss. And sometimes you have to make changes which the manual workers won't agree with. But you've listened to their problem, you've seen both sides of it, and you've made a proper judgment. So if the employee then comes back to you and says, this won't work, because you can say, well, I've looked at that, and I've looked at this, and this is the solution. And then that employee will probably respect that, or if they're comfortable with you, they'll come back and give their reasoning again, and you can reevaluate it.
Sure.
So that's what I see as an issue, but that's me being an old lady.
Okay, I mean, I think we moved more away from the contract. Obviously, we're talking about teleworking and how you want the physical contract.
Yeah, you got sidetracked.
Yeah, you're gonna be sidetracked. Anyway, but that's fine. So we'll leave it there. So thank you for that.
I hope you've enjoyed the conversation.
Yes,